Hello, my name is Christopher Morton, Assistant Curator at the New York State Military Museum. Military flags are powerful symbols, not only to the officers and soldiers currently serving in our armed forces, but also to the men and women who have previously served, our veterans. Throughout our history, battle flags have been used to identify military units and, in centuries past, to lead soldiers on smoke-filled battlefields. Battle flags also carry a deeper meaning and emotion. Battle flags embody the unit it represents, its history, and the valor of the men and women who served beneath her folds. Today, the New York State Battle Flag Collection contains over 2,200 flags. The collection includes examples from the War of 1812, the Civil War, both World Wars, and the more recent wars and conflicts in Asia and the Middle East. All the flags on display in the flag room are maintained by the New York State Military Museum in Saratoga Springs. New York State started to collect battle flags in January 1863, and a few short months later, in April 1863, the Adjutant General held a special battle flag presentation ceremony before a joint session of the legislature. Additional ceremonies commemorating the growth of the collection occurred in 1864 and 1865. The battle flags, many worn, frayed, and battle damaged, bore the scars from use on the bloody battlefields of Bull Run, Antietam, Gettysburg, Appomattox, and hundreds of other Civil War battlefields. By 1867, the New York State Battle Flag Collection numbered well over 800 flags, the largest publicly held Civil War battle flag collection in the nation. As the battle flag collection grew, the need for storage and display space quickly emerged. The collection was initially housed in two buildings located near the New York State Capitol. During a well-publicized visit to the Capitol by Civil War hero and former President Ulysses S. Grant in 1881, a newspaper reporter found the worn-torn flags in poor condition. A resolution was quickly passed to move the flags into the Capitol. They are currently on display in large oak glass front cases on the first floor of the Capitol. Let's take a look at a couple battle flags and the New York veterans they embody. Here we see a small printed wool camp color in the U.S. national pattern used by the 20th United States Colored Troops, an African American regiment from the Civil War. Over 4,000 African Americans from New York State served in the United States Colored Troops regiments and played a critical role in the Army's victory in the Civil War. The legacy of African American New Yorkers serving in the armed forces continues to this day. Examples of this exemplary service include Henry Johnson, recipient of the Medal of Honor from the 15th Regiment New York National Guard, redesignated as the 369th Regiment, U.S. Army during World War I. The 369th Regiment's lineage continues today as the 369th Sustainment Brigade of the New York National Guard. Here we see another flag, a large embroidered silk French national flag, or tricolor, carried by the 55th New York Volunteers, a Civil War volunteer regiment raised in New York City, comprised mostly of French immigrants and led by Regis de Trobriand. This silk flag, in the French national tricolor design with three vertical bands in blue, white, and red, features an embroidered inscription in French, Garde Lafayette, with the unit's designation in the center. The flag was presented to the unit during a special 1862 ceremony in Washington, D.C., with President and Mrs. Lincoln in attendance. Nearly a century later, descendants of de Trobriand formally turned in another 55th New York Volunteers flag to Governor Nelson Rockefeller in a ceremony here at the New York State Capitol. The need for conservation became apparent in the late 1990s. Battle flags are often fragile and in poor shape due to their use on the battlefield, their age, and poor storage practices over time. Some flags have remained tightly rolled or furled on their staffs for over 150 years, standing vertically in oak cases, exposing them to environmental damage. The New York State Division of Military and Naval Affairs partnered with the Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation to begin a flag preservation project and conserve the flags for future generations. To date, over 500 of the most historic and fragile flags have received treatment. Flags in the cases are now protected by acid-free tissue to prevent exposure to light. Similarly, about a dozen conserved flags are displayed on a rotating basis. This keeps flags safe and allows visitors to see new flags on repeat visits to the Capitol. Conserving the flags helps to preserve the legacy of veterans and their sacrifices for future generations. Major General Daniel Butterfield, Civil War hero from Utica, New York, beautifully summarized the flag collection in a speech during the July 1865 flag presentation ceremony. These standards are returned, battle-scarred, hallowed by the blood of your patriot sons, a precious treasure, a priceless legacy. For they shall tell your children's children of manhood and patriotism rising in their might to sustain the right. These are glorious insignia of the highest devotion and sacrifice, of man for country. Major General Daniel Butterfield, July 4th, 1865. Thank you for joining me for this virtual visit.